Hello, everybody. Dan Ryan, PMP. And how is everybody doing today? I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for attending. And we're just about to get started. Today we'll be doing two things. Reviewing the structure of the PDU program as a secondary, but as a primary, we'll be doing leadership skills and qualities. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about, excuse me. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about how the PDU stuff works. I know you already know it, but just a quick review during the lesson. All right. Let's get started. You guys, go ahead. Give me some sort of a like or you got any emojis over there you can throw my way? I'm trying to. Can you hear me okay? You guys are hearing me? Thank you, Catherine. All right, let's get started. Okay, my name is Dan Ryan, PMP, and I'm going to be training you today on leadership skills and qualities. 1.0 PDU on leadership on the PMI talent triangle. All right, and we're going to have up in the library this available for you later to look at. All right, but this is going to be 1 PDU. I'm going to give you this lesson, and then I'm going to have you download and read the CCR handbook. And between those two things, you're going to be able to satisfy 1 PDU on the site. All right, so let's get into it. And as an introduction, I just want to say hi and thank you so much for being part of my program. I really appreciate it. And to all you certified project manager professionals, PMPs, congratulations, you're taking the right steps. Going to be longer than a half hour, but we're going to do the full lesson and then the CCR workbook, which adds up to over an hour of your time. All right, and on this recorded material, it's live, but it'll be recorded later. It's going to be an excellent opportunity to do a deep dive or in-depth focus on these leadership skills and qualities. Very important to continuously develop and improve leadership skills and qualities. Upon your completion of listening to this session and reading the CCR handbook, you'll be able to claim 1.0 PDUs under the leadership, because PMI requires that each holder of a PMP work within their CCR program, which supports the ongoing educational and professional development for holders of that certification. All right, and PMI states this will allow our certification holders so they are always prepared to meet the demands of today's complex business environment. PMI further states that anybody who earns this PMP has got to maintain it every 3 years. All right, with the focus on the PMP certification, PMI requires 60 hours over a 3-year period. Just finished my cycle 3 days before it expired. Nothing like the last minute. All right, these 60 required PDUs are broken down as a minimum of 35 education PDUs. Now, you can also do a minimum of 25 giving back. So what's giving back? What about coaching or mentoring your colleagues? All right, what about delivering a webinar online? All right, on project management. What about writing a white paper or an ebook? All right, so there's different ways of giving back. All right, so my recommendation is everybody who's PMP at some point soon, please go to PMI.org, and underneath that certifications, I want you to hit on the drop down, maintain certification, and review that page. And I highly recommend after you do that, and it's part of this PDU, I want you to download and read the CCR handbook from the PMI website. I believe I also have the CCR handbook in my library on the site as well. And a careful review of that CCR handbook will make sure that you've got a great understanding of PMI's requirements to maintain your PMP credential. All right, for now, I'm going to dive in. We're going to do a deep dive, and we're going to do an in-depth focus on leadership, skills, and qualities. So buckle up. We're about to begin. What are the leadership skills and qualities? Well, to start off, I got to level set with you and make it clear that leadership and management are not the same. A person could be a good leader, a good manager, or both, or neither. All right, more on the differences of this leadership and management will be discussed later in other lessons, but for now I'm going to answer the question, what are the leadership skills and qualities? Top project managers must be leaders to ensure the success of their project team, their projects, and the overall organization to which they belong. All right, a buddy of mine, Bill, who's a real experienced PM, one time he was telling me a story. You know, besides his full-time job, he was also a certified trainer like me. And once a month, he would train new hires in a day-long new hire orientation program. While in this one-day new hire program for Bank of America, he was working with the bank associates and showing them a training video. And then the chairman and CEO of Bank of America, Ken Lewis, actually highlighted the difference between a leader and a project manager. And what he said was, look, a manager will tell you what to do and you will do it since he is your manager. Yet a leader will inspire you to go above and beyond, Bill said. One key statement by Ken, it inspired him to commit to improve as a PM himself. All right, did you know What Was About Leadership by Woodrow Wilson, the 28th President of the United States? He said, a leader's job is to look into the future and to see the organization not as it is, but as it can become. Okay, you could substitute the word organization with project or project team. And while it's true that some leaders are born while others are made, with earnest and diligent effort, it's indeed for anybody possible to learn and to lead. Now, Bill also told me about this organization that helps project managers develop critical communication skills, especially people who might be particularly afraid of speaking in public, and it's called Toastmasters. I'm not a member of Toastmasters, but I found it interesting and I wanted to share it with you. Who's ever heard of Toastmasters? Go ahead, put a comment in there. All right, so let's talk about it a little bit. Now, they have a statement of Toastmasters where the leaders are made. And you know, Toastmasters is an excellent area, which no doubt is local probably to where we all live with many chapters, just like PMI. Now, this is a place where you can really improve your leadership skills and qualities, and it's also a fun and friendly environment. What are leadership skills and qualities? All right, this is answered in our guide to the project management body of knowledge on page 60, 3.44, leadership skills. The answer provided is leadership skills involve the ability to guide, motivate, and actually direct a team. The skills include demonstrating, negotiating, communicating, problem solving, influencing, critical thinking. And while those are only the same set of leadership skills and qualities, as we move forward, I'm going to identify others. Now, the PMBOK guide helps project managers around these areas of improving and enhancing their leadership skills and qualities. And we know that projects are becoming increasingly more complicated with more and more businesses executing their strategies. So project management is more than just working with numbers and templates and charts and graphs and computing systems. A common denominator in all projects is people. People cannot be counted. They are not numbers. The very first principle on the Agile Manifesto is favor people over processes. Now, on the subject of dealing with people, since you, as a project manager, have to be a leader to people, on the project where you need to motivate, encourage, and build a trusting team. A large part of the project manager's role involves dealing with people, and the PM should study people's behaviors and motivations. The PM should strive to be a good leader because leadership's crucial. A PM applies these skills by working with all of the stakeholders, the team, the steering committee, the project sponsors, and others. Let me tell you about some more qualities and skills that a leader has to develop, maintain, and constantly improve. Once again, I'm going to refer to the PMBOK guide. It's a great reference. And in that section 3442, it states that research shows that the qualities and skills of a leader include, but are not limited to, and then the PMBOK guide provides an important list that they should carefully review on a daily basis. The non-exhausted list of qualities and skills of a leader are: number one, being a visionary, helping to describe the products, the goals, and the objectives of the project, able to dream and translate those dreams for others. Being optimistic and positive. If you're negative and saying the glass is half empty, how are your counterparts and team members and stakeholders going to react to that? Be collaborative. We're talking about win-win. Manage relations in conflict by building trust, satisfying concerns, and seeking consensus. Balance competing and opposing goals. Apply persuasion, negotiation, compromise, and conflict resolution, and develop and nurture networks. All right, taking a long-term view that the relationships are just as important as the project, and continuously developing and applying political concern. Politics are not a good thing or a bad thing. They are simply reality, and you have to make sure your team, your project, you that you're on the winning side. Communicating by spending enough time communicating, right? 90% of our times, maybe 85 to 90% of our time. We're going to be managing expectations and accepting feedback graciously, whether it's positive or negative. All right, giving feedback constructively and then asking and listening. All right, being respectful, helping others retain their autonomy, courteous, friendly, kind, sincere, honest, trustworthy, loyal, and ethical. When you're exhibiting integrity and being culturally sensitive, and culturally sensitive doesn't just mean ethnically culturally sensitive, it could mean organizationally culturally sensitive. Let me give you an example. Project manager sends out a bunch of performance reports. Everybody loves them, except for the HR department, who says the reports are way too technical and way too difficult to understand. Well, obviously that project manager was not culturally sensitive to the needs of the human resources department. Let's give credit where credit's due. All right, too much about leadership is always people thinking, how can I get more out of the team? How can I get them to work harder and longer? How can I increase the performance? Well, things are changing. PMI says replace that attitude with the idea of gratitude, servant leadership, emotional intelligence, building your team up, rewarding them, supporting them, and recognizing them. Be a lifelong learner. You never stop learning. All right, and focus on the important things like continually prioritizing work by reviewing and adjusting as necessary. All right, you're also going to be finding and using prioritization methods for them and the project, and differentiating high-level strategic priorities, especially those that are critical to the project. We're going to be maintaining vigilance on primary project constraints and remaining flexible on tactical priorities, and being able to sift through a massive amount of information to obtain the most important information. Remember, work performance data gets groomed into work performance information. Work performance information gets aggregated into work performance reports, and the work performance reports go to management. Have a holistic and systemic view of the project, taking into account external and internal factors equally. Being able to apply critical thinking, and making sure that people around you understand that you're an agent of change and improvement. Being able to build effective teams, to be service-oriented, and to have fun, have a good time, share your humor. Oh boy, wow, Coach Dan, those are a lot of leadership qualities and skills that a top project manager has to have. You bet there are. There's probably a lot more too. But hey, leadership skills and leadership qualities is an extensive subject. I've got other PDUs I'm going to be sharing with you in more detail. But for a top project manager to develop, maintain, and enhance these things, I would add effectively managing people, which requires a whole range of behaviors and skills and expertises for new PMs that have rarely been practiced before. So all project managers should commit themselves to striving to be a top project manager and focusing to acquire or develop if necessary, and for sure to improve and enhance on continuous basis effective leadership skills and qualities which for some are inherent, but for many of us can be learned. So with any skill, with direction, time, as well as practice, those behaviors and skills can be learned over time. Now, as somebody who's trained and coached thousands and thousands of project managers to prepare for the PMP, I have to tell you, it's got to be stated that in regard to leadership skills and qualities, if any single leadership skill is more important than another, then that leadership skill would be communication. Now, in my experience and confirmed by my research, it's been stated that in all elements of work life, that the most common complaint about an organization is some problem with communication, right? And it's been stated before, it's worth repeating again, we spend 90% of our time communicating. All right, let me sum it up. Communication and action. Visionary, in other words, you're able to articulate the vision, prepare it, utilize the right tools and approaches. You can motivate people using various theories. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, McGregor's, McClellan's, Theory X, Theory Y, expectancy theory. Right? You remember all those motivational theories, right? Conflict management, people, causes of conflict, sources of conflict. What are some sources of conflict? Money, budget, schedule, priorities. All right, there's a conflict cycle, and we're dealing with conflict. And the PMBOK says that a large part of the project manager's role involves dealing with people, and the project manager should study people's behaviors and motivations. All right, so I want to tell you about something called utilizing the PIN model, which is focused on that win-win situation. All right, P, position. What do we want? I, interest. Why do we want it? And N, needs. What must we have? All right, so we're defining basic needs and differing perceptions. All right, now, conflict resolution approaches, right? We have avoidance, accommodation, compromise, competition, and collaboration. PMI says collaboration's number one because it's win-win. All right, there's a little added bonus on the conflict resolution stuff. I'm going to give you a little summary here. All right, a little conflict resolution summary. Address the substance of the conflict. Address the procedures for dealing with it. And separate the relationships that people have with the conflict from the substance of the conflict. Understand the source and the stage of conflict. Discuss everyone's perception of the conflict. Be sensitive to the emotions of those who are involved and address them, because they might get stirred up as a result of this conflict, and you don't want that lingering animosity. All right, listen actively. Yeah, listen to what's being said before responding. Focus on interests, not positions. Look for compatible interests and points of agreement, commonalities. All right, be hard on the conflict, but soft on the people. Brainstorm your options. Look for a mutual gain. Reason, and be very open to reasoning. Use equity and fairness in your standards and procedures. As a project manager, remember PMI's code of ethics. Check to see and verify all the parties involved in the conflict are comfortable with the outcomes. One other important point that a top project manager must have, develop, and enhance will be covered in more in other PDU lessons, but for now I wanted to share with you page 63 from the PMBOK. Top project managers are proactive and intentional. When it comes to power, these project managers will work to acquire the power and authority they need within the boundaries of the organizational policies, protocols, and procedures rather than waiting for it to be granted. All right, so that's sort of the conclusion to the leadership skills and qualities. We discussed and covered various leadership skills and leadership qualities, and I'll have other PDU sessions, of course. But this PDU session should impress upon your mind that so much is involved in being a top project manager and committed to improving effectively and leading every project. You have to have the privilege to manage and lead. Please remember that top project managers must be leaders to ensure the success of their team, their projects, and the overall organization to which they belong. So I strongly encourage you to utilize the portion of the leadership within the PMI talent triangle and take my PDU sessions so that you will not only complete and earn the PDUs, but you will learn, benefit, and value the information I've researched and presented. Now, please remember, the second half of this class is that you need to download or take from my site the Continuing Certification Requirements Handbook. And once you do that, you will have completed another PDU to maintaining your credential against the PMI talent triangle. All right, thank you for attending this class titled Leadership Skills and Qualities. The organization name is University of PM. It's one PDU in the category of leadership. Thank you for your time and attention.